today. What's one thing that we look at when we have a presenter in our program? You look at the person speaking, good. Be quiet when they talk. Respect. Okay, very, very important. Very, very important. Having respect for the presenter. Today, very fortunate. I was so glad that she was able to come down on Tuesday. We had to switch her out from Thursday to Tuesday. Officer Palladini works in my department. She's worked with us now for the last 5 years. She has 7 years in Norfolk. What I respect the most about Officer Palladini is her work ethic. She's a tireless worker, and that's something to be said for. You guys are going to see her probably in the next, I would say 2 to 3 years when you get to middle school. She is the school resource officer up there. She has her own program up there as well. And just happy to have her here today. Please give her a round of applause.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. How are we doing? Good. I'm good. Thank you for asking. Are we like super hot right now? Yes. Yeah. So I will tell you that when I first walked into this gym, I was like dying of heat. And now that I've been in here for about 10 minutes, I feel a little leveled off. So give yourself a few minutes and you should feel better momentarily. Thank you, Officer Plimpton, for the introduction. Appreciate it. I am so lucky that I get to do a lot of different things at the police department. So not only do I get to do work with all of you here in Norfolk, Wrentham, Plainville, get to work with students at the middle school, I also get to work in detectives part-time. So does anyone know what a detective does? Right here. Solves cases, yeah. And a lot of what we do, which I think really relates to why you're all here, is a lot of drug work, right? What does DARE stand for? Right here.
Drug abuse.
Help them out, someone? Are we good? Yeah? That's it, that's it. So when we talk about drugs and we look at things like drugs, who do you think might use drugs when they're older? Who are some people? What do you guys think? Right here. Yeah.
Drug dealers.
Drug dealers, yeah, totally. Who else might use drugs? Mentally ill people was the other answer, right? We agree? Yes? What else? Criminals, yeah. How about, yeah, do you have something? People who take what?
Drugs.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. So there are, say that again, go ahead. Yeah, so I think the point that we're making is that people can take medication, right, that might not be prescribed to them. Is that legal or not legal? Not legal, right? You have to have a prescription. So when we talk about who might use drugs someday, the answer is it could be anybody, right? So a lot of what we do in detectives is we look at people who have gone down a really bad path in life. Maybe they started with something like, oh, I don't know, drinking alcohol. Maybe they started by using marijuana, right? And they said, oh, it's no big deal. It's not gonna lead to anything. But what happens when marijuana is not enough, right? So my job as a detective is to kind of investigate not only what happened if somebody, overdosed maybe on drugs. What does overdose mean? Right here.
When you take too much of it.
Excellent. When you take too much of a drug or alcohol, that leads to overdose. Do people always survive overdoses? Sometimes and sometimes not, right? So it's our job to help people survive. It's our job to help give people resources, right, and get them into treatment. But my job is a little bit different because what I like to do is I like to find out when people started drugs in the first place. I like to investigate what led people to use drugs because I want to figure out how we can stop it, right? Because I don't like going to calls for overdoses. I don't like having to see parents crying and siblings crying that they've lost somebody close to them. So it's important for me, particularly as a school resource officer, to figure out ways that I can teach all of you ways to avoid it, right? So one thing I want to kind of talk with you guys about is emotions. Do you guys learn about your emotions in school? What are some emotions? Raise your hands. What are some emotions that you might have in life? In the back with the pink hat. Happy. I like that emotion. That's a good one. Anger, yeah. And you know what? People will say negative emotions, right? Like anger, and maybe some of you have other ideas. All of those emotions are okay to have, okay? So don't be shy. Bring all of those forward. What else? Anxiety, yeah. What else? Sadness. Depression. Was that yours? Yeah. Stress, yeah. What else? Frustration, yeah. So it's important when we have emotions, you guys, to think about how they affect us, okay? So when you're happy or you're excited, how do you feel? Like, how does your body feel? Go ahead. Yeah, definitely. What else? How do you feel when you're happy? Happy, that's a hard question, isn't it? All right, go ahead.
Joy.
You feel joy. I like that. I like that. Good word. That's the word of the day, is joy. I like it. So let me flip it on you. How do you feel when you're sad? Go ahead. Yeah. How else? How does your body feel when you're sad? Go ahead. Slow. What else? Droopy. Yeah. Right here. Blue. Yeah. You guys ever watch that movie? What's the Disney movie? Yeah. Have you guys all seen it? Isn't that like so accurate though? So the key is to be able to identify when you're feeling that emotion. And you guys want to know a really good trick for when you're feeling either sad or angry or frustrated, is to just say that you're feeling sad or angry or frustrated. Our brains are able to understand emotion, okay? A lot of times the emotion comes from our brain, but actually labeling that emotion, so just saying like, I'm so mad right now, that's enough to tell your brain like, okay, we get it, we're mad right now. That feeling is gonna pass. Has anyone been really mad about something like in the morning, and then all day long you're like, oh, I'm having the worst day ever? Yeah, I mean, me, right? Like all of us, right? Think about those times that you feel upset in the morning, right? Maybe your alarm didn't go off. Maybe you got up on the wrong side of the bed. You ever hear that saying? Yeah, that just means, you know what? Your day didn't start off great. The trick is to take that moment and not let it run with you all day long. Because here's what happens. I'm gonna share with you a story about me personally. When I was younger, your age, I had all of these dreams and goals and things that I wanted to do in my life. I really wanted to help people. I really wanted to help animals. I was big on community service. That was a part of who I was. As I got into middle school, I started like falling in with the crowd, right? And doing things that maybe weren't true to who I was. So things like talking bad about other people. Things like not having confidence in myself, being, kind of anxious. Somebody here mentioned anxiety. I had a lot of anxiety in middle school. Asked me to get up in front of a room to teach or speak, I would have never done that in middle school, no way. So you think about kind of how we change and how we evolve. And unfortunately for me, I became somebody that I wasn't. I became somebody who was anxious all the time, who didn't feel good about herself all the time. And that stayed with me for many years. And I fell into depression in middle school and high school and early on into my early 20s. So you think about kind of how you have the opportunity, right, to take your life as it is today and think about how you're going to manage those emotions so they don't get away from you. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah. Okay, so let me tell you kind of how I got back to myself, which kind of coincided with my work in the policing field. So when I was in my early to mid 20s, I figured out some techniques to help me with stress, to help me with emotions, and all of those things that we just talked about, like feeling anxious in our bodies. Like, what does that feel like when you're anxious? Where do you physically feel it in your body? Like if you're nervous for a test, or like the teacher calls on you and you don't know the answer. Your stomach, absolutely. Where else? In your throat, yeah. Does that happen to anybody? Like you go to answer the question and you're like, yeah. Where else? In your head, yeah. Anyone get headaches from feeling kind of stressed or worried? Totally. Where else?
My belly.
Your stomach, totally. Do you know that our stomach is actually where we hold confidence in our body? So when we don't feel confident, we get stomach aches. When we get worried, we get stomach aches. That's where it comes from. So how do we manage that? Does anyone have any tricks for managing stress or anxiety or worry? Because let me tell you, these tricks are gonna be the things that keep you from going down the wrong path. What do? Sleep. Do our bodies need sleep? Yes. How much sleep does your body need?
10 hours.
Excellent. Who said that?
Me.
10 hours. Absolutely. So, so how do we keep ourselves from getting the right amount of sleep? We get stuck on our phones or video games or staying up too late watching TV, right? If you guys notice, there's going to be a common theme that threads through what I'm going to talk about, and it's about wellness. It's about taking care of ourselves, so sleep is excellent. How else do we manage stress or our emotions?
Sometimes I
Count to 10 slowly over and over again. Has anyone else tried that? It really does work. So think about how you can count, because what is counting doing? What's it taking your mind off of? Just shout it out. It's taking your mind off the stress and the problem. Absolutely. What else do you do for stress relief? Other people, right here.
I have a stress ball.
You have a stress ball. Anyone else have those like squishy stress balls? I keep a ton of those in my office at the middle school. So when you guys come to the middle school, you can play with those in my office because they're really fun too. What else do you guys do for stress? Right here.
For stress, I meditate.
You meditate. Cool. I was actually going to show you guys a cool sort of a meditation breathing exercise that we as police officers actually utilize too. And I'll show you how in a second. What else do you do for stress relief? Right here. Read, right? Again, taking your mind off the problem, taking your mind off what is right now. Because do you guys know how long a negative emotion will last in your body? It's actually like 13 seconds. So a really strong emotion where you're feeling like super anxious, right? Anyone get tingling in their hands sometimes when they're really anxious? Some of you might even have like a panic, disorder where you like really feel that in your fingers, okay? It takes 13 seconds for that really strong emotion to pass. So how can we manage it in those 13 seconds? So things like counting, things like reading. I'm gonna teach you guys something right now that's called combat breathing. Doesn't that sound really cool? Combat breathing, okay? We use this in law enforcement when we are going to a call that maybe is really nerve-wracking. So what do you think a call might be that a police officer would be really anxious and worried to go to? A place where it can endanger our life, absolutely. So maybe we think or hear that somebody has a weapon, right? What other types of calls? Right here. A fire, definitely. Right here. A murder scene, yeah. Hopefully we don't have too many of those, right? What else?
You have to go to the parents' house and tell them that a family member died.
Yeah, that's a big one, right? Go to a parent's house and tell that a family member has passed away. That's definitely one of the most hardest calls we have to go on.
Hostage held?
Yeah, hostage situation, definitely. What else? Robbery, yep. One more.
Like a robber talking to you on the phone, like he's like, like he's tricking you.
Yeah, totally, right? So there's a whole bunch we could talk about, but let me tell you what I do when I'm driving in my cruiser. If I go to a call like that, right? And it's a call where, let's just say, I'll give you one of mine that's happened to me that really bothered me in the past. A call that a baby isn't breathing, right? Is that a really scary call to go on? Yeah, because I want to get there really fast, right, to be able to help the baby and the family. I also want to be careful while I'm driving really fast to the call, because what could happen? I could get in an accident, I could hurt somebody else. And then what else is going on in my brain? I'm thinking about everything I need to do when I get there. Do I remember how to do infant CPR? Am I gonna have tunnel vision? What happens with tunnel vision? Does anyone know what tunnel vision is? Go ahead. Not really, but good guess.
It's when you're only thinking about one thing.
Yeah, so you're just fixated on one thing, and so everything else falls to the side, okay? What happens when our bodies are stressed is that it produces a stress hormone in your body that makes you feel all of those things. Stomach aches, tingling, it makes your heart race. Has that ever happened to anybody when you're nervous? Your heart kind of races. Maybe you're gonna answer a question in class and you don't think you have the answer right, so you start just feeling nervous in your body. That stress response is designed to help us. So let's think back to like caveman days, right? What do you think were things that stressed out cavemen? Because it wasn't social media, I can tell you that, I swear it wasn't. What do you think? Food, being able to find food and provide for their family. What else? Water, being able to find water source. What else?
Being safe.
Being safe, yeah, right? What else?
Being able to protect them.
Being able to protect them. What
Make
else?
things with teeth.
To make things with teeth? Yeah.
Make things with teeth, they could be anxious.
Yes, exactly. And that was the point I was actually getting at. So let's think about, let's pretend we're all cavemen for a minute, right? Or women, or cave kids, okay? I like that. Actually, everybody stand up and do your best cave person impression. Okay, good, sit. Okay, sit. Okay, have a seat, have a seat, have a seat. Thank you. I don't have a microphone, so you probably couldn't hear me in the back, but thank you. So that activity was twofold. One, to get you thinking like a caveman, but two, does anyone like sitting for long periods of time? No, no. So sometimes a little movement is good, okay? So you're a cave person, and your goal is to keep yourself safe and to find food and water. Do you know that humans are biologically wired and designed to seek things that will help us and to avoid things that will hurt us? It's pleasure-pain principle, okay? So when we are facing our teacher that we maybe didn't do the homework and we know the teacher's gonna say something to us and we're feeling really anxious, or we got in a fight with our brother and maybe there was some pushing and shoving and we know that our parents are gonna ground us, we get that same feeling as that caveman that's facing, say, a saber-toothed tiger, okay? The stress, isn't that amazing? Yes, that too. So the stress response, you guys, in our body is no different than it was in the days of the cavemen. So we need to think about how we can help manage that stress response, because we have a lot more stress than I would say the cave people did, right? What are some things that stress you out as almost sixth graders? And we can be honest here, and I can guarantee you we all have the same stressors. Go ahead. Homework. Who's with her? Homework? Yeah. Depends how much you get, depends what it is. What else? A test. Yeah. What else? You're gonna say that? What else?
Science test.
Science test.
Sports, like
Sports. Social media. Totally. What else? Studying.
when I get top 5 Fortnite.
When you what?
When I get top 5 Fortnite.
Yes, exactly. That is stressful. What else? Being on time. Okay, one at a time, please. Being on time for things. What else?
Final 2 on Fortnite.
I knew I was going to get a lot of Fortnite references. Right here. Trauma? Drama. Drama. Absolutely. Right here. Very stressful. I hear you. Okay. All right. So, bring it back to me, please. So I want you to think about when you have those stressful moments, what can you do that's healthy? What can you do to manage that racing heart and those feelings? So when I'm in the car and I'm driving to the call where there is a baby not breathing, I need to remember for myself that I need to breathe, that I need to get oxygen into my body. Because if I can't breathe, and if I'm letting my emotions get the best of me, what do you think is going to happen to my brain? It's not going to work. It's going to be total tunnel vision, and that's where we have reactions, where we lash out, we get angry and we want to find something quick to make us feel better. What do you think people may use when they get older to make themselves feel better that aren't necessarily the right things that they should be using? Drugs, right? I hear that a lot from people. Well, I thought it would make me feel better. No. What else? Cigarettes, yeah, what else? Alcohol, yep. Cigars, sure, what else? Yeah. How about something like this? You're not feeling so great about yourself, so when all your friends start picking on that, other person on social media and everybody's like texting back and forth saying, oh, this person is stupid, blah, blah, blah. If you're not feeling good about yourself, do you think you might say something like that, right? So stuff to think about. So I'm going to teach you guys combat breathing. So I want everybody to sit in a comfortable position. Sit up nice and straight. Everybody good? Everybody comfortable? Okay. Now I need everybody to have perfect silence. Perfect silence. Perfect silence. I still hear some moving and some talking. Okay. If you want to, you can close your eyes. If you don't want to close your eyes, you don't have to. You can just look down at a spot on the floor. What I want you to do is I want you to breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds. I want you to hold your breath for 4 seconds. And I want you to breathe out your mouth for 4 seconds. That's it. You can open your eyes if they're closed. It seems kind of silly, right? Like why would we do this? And why would a police officer be teaching you breathing exercises? Because when you are in a stressful situation or you're having a stressful emotion, you can use, that's called combat breathing, okay? You can use that to lower that stress response. Why do you think it's called combat breathing? My guys who play Fortnite, come on. Go ahead.
When you're in combat, or in a 1v1.
You what? I can't hear you.
Or in a 1v1.
What is that? Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. So, think about this. When soldiers are in combat, right, or police officers are going to that really difficult call, or you get called up to the board and you don't know the answer, or you're a caveman and you're facing that saber-toothed tiger, right? Your body, again, is having that stress response. So how do we manage that? 13 seconds you need to be able to manage that emotion. So you breathe in through your nose. You hold your breath for 4 seconds. You breathe out your mouth. Has anyone ever seen box breathing? Has anyone ever done that in school? Box, B-O-X. So this is very similar. You might do this in like a health class or something, but basically it's the same thing. It's 4 seconds, 4 seconds, 4 seconds, 4 seconds. So you're making a box and you actually trace the box with your finger as you're breathing in, holding your breath, breathing out, holding your breath. It's a pretty cool activity. Here's what happens when you don't keep your emotions and your stress in check. It builds up in your body, all of those hormones. And do you know, for your age, for teenagers, that stress hormone stays in your body for 72 hours. Does that seem like a lot to anybody? Yeah. So to think about being stressed and feeling that for 72 hours, and I'm not talking about that really high emotion where you feel like you're gonna yell or you're gonna cry or you're just feeling so awful, but just think about that chemical, all those chemical hormones staying in your body for 72 hours. What do you think in that 72 hours something else is probably gonna stress you out? Yeah, so it's like dumping more and more and more. Think about a glass of water, okay? So let's pretend, actually, hold on, I have a water bottle right here. So what color is this liquid right now?
Clear.
Who said yellow? I hope it's clear because it's a brand new bottle of water. Okay. So every time we have a stressful incident, so something that stresses us out, it's like adding a little bit of mud into that water bottle, okay? So at the end of the day, if we have had a lot of stressful events, what color is this water gonna be? Brown. Right. So now let's think about if you go through your teenage years and you go through having lots of stress in your life, what's gonna happen? Do you think you're eventually gonna break? And you're gonna say, you know what, I want something else. I need something else to make me feel better. So what we wanna give you, and as teachers and school resource officers and police officers, we wanna give you as kids healthy tools so that you can manage that stress, so that you don't move on to those riskier behaviors. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes. Okay, super. Just checking my timeline. So we only have a couple more minutes. This went really fast. Do you find the stress relief tools helpful? Yeah? This is gonna be even more important for you as you move into middle school and high school. How many people have a cell phone here? I know probably half and half, right? Okay. So, okay, hang with me, 2 more minutes, hang with me. There are apps on your cell phone or your iPad, or you could use a computer and use YouTube that give you actually guided breathing exercises. Anyone ever use anything like this, like relaxation music or apps to help you sleep? I would encourage you to take advantage of those, because when you're having those stressful moments where you have all those thoughts kind of spinning around in your head, and maybe you don't feel like you're stressed, but you're like, oh, you know what? I have to get to dance class, and then I have soccer tomorrow, and I have a big test on Thursday. That is stress, even if you don't feel it. So recognizing it and saying, hey, you know what? I'm feeling stressed out right now. Maybe I could use one of these relaxation techniques. I want to see everyone doing that than saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to go party on Friday night. That will give me some fun. That will make me feel better. I want you to make the choice to use a healthy stress relieving technique. So that's one thing I'd have you look up. If you look up guided relaxations or you look up stress in the App Store, you'll find all kinds of things out there for you. With my last couple of minutes, does anyone have any questions? Yes? Did what?
Did the baby survive?
The baby did survive. Yeah, thank you for asking. Yeah. Thank you for asking. So that actually brings up a good point. I know, do you guys like stories? Yeah, everyone loves stories, right? It would be very, hold up with me for a second. It would be so easy for me to stand up here and to tell you guys like all kinds of cool police stories, right? But how much do you learn from that? Maybe you might learn something. So I believe in sharing stories to illustrate a point and to teach you something. So that's why I'm gonna stand up here and I'm gonna give you the tools that I know work. Because when I finally found out how to manage my emotions and how to relieve stress, it made me a better person, it made me a better police officer, it made me a better parent, and it helped me to live my purpose. And my purpose was what I felt like when I was in elementary school, was to help people, to be compassionate. And I couldn't do any of that if I was feeling stressed or wasn't feeling confident in myself. So that's why it's so important to me to give this information to you guys. So I hope it was helpful. Keep an eye out for me. I work in Norfolk, but I'm at the middle school. So if you're ever out and about, make sure you see me and make sure you wave, okay? All right, thank you everybody.